Happy Valentine's Day to you all. I hope that you all remembered to send a Valentine to your special one, as I did. Hope you have a great day today. Beautiful sunrise. I don't know if you saw it, but it was a great start to the Valentine's Day. The Transportation Committee for February 14th is now in session. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Representatives Beck, Burkhart, Butler, Campbell, Camper, Carr, Cochran, Darby, Davis, Glenn, Grills, Harris, Hazelwood, Hicks, Marsh, Martin, Powell,
Here.
Powers, Rudd, Russell, Towns, Whitson, Wright, Vice Chairman Vital, Chairman Howe.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Any announcements or comments, personal orders from committee? Speaker Marsh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have some guests today. We have Donna England with the Tennessee Trucking Association. Donna, stand and let us see what you look like. Thanks for coming.
Welcome.
Also, I have Sean Davis with a Tennessee CDL school. Sean, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Speaker. Good to have these folks with us. You perform a great service to the state of Tennessee and with our supply line, and we appreciate what you do. Any further comments, personal orders? If not, we have a calendar and a little information for you. House Bill 321 will be rolled until February 28th. That's 2 weeks. And that is to give everyone a chance to just breathe. I'll be brief, but just let me say that the best way to combat misinformation is just to tell the truth. And so what we're going to do is give you 2 weeks to breathe and look at the bill, talk to those who know about the bill at TDOT, myself, Sub-Chairman Whitson, Vice Chairman Vital, and people who are deeply involved in running this bill. The truth will set you free, folks. So just breathe, search out the bill. We will run it in 2 weeks, and I expect it to pass. All right, looking on over to number 2, House Bill 88. Speaker Marsh, you're recognized. We have a motion and second.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I have an amendment 3622 that was put on last week, I believe.
3622. That's what I have, sir. We have a motion. Second on the amendment. All in favor of adding the amendment to the bill, say aye.
Aye.
Amendment is on the bill. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The American Trucking Association estimates that we currently have over 80,000 truck driver shortage in the United States and could grow to 160,000 by 2028. So we have a real problem. And what this bill helps with. HB 88 is a pro-veteran bill that would allow current military personnel or veterans within 1 year of honorable discharge to help acquire a commercial driver's license. This program is called the Even Exchange Program, which allows qualified heavy military truck drivers to waive the knowledge test. The program is approved by the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration and is also approved by 18 other states, which includes 6 surrounding southern states. This bill provides that an applicant who obtains the knowledge test waiver must successfully complete applicable vision and skill test and pay the appropriate fees other than the skills test. The driver must not have a previous driver's license suspended, revoked, or canceled. With that, I ask you to please vote in favor.
Okay, thank you, Speaker Marsh. Questions from the committee on the bill? Was there a question? Do you mind withdrawing that? Okay.
I don't have a question, Chairman. I just wanted to say that with Fort Campbell in my district, I fully support this bill and hope that all my colleagues will also. Thank you.
Okay. Chair Lady Hazelwood.
And I don't have a question either, just a comment and thank you to the sponsor because I keep hearing from, I have a number of logistics and trucking companies in my district, and this is a huge issue along with getting CDL licensing and just the process. I think the more we can do to bring qualified people onto the roads with the least restrictions possible, then thank you again to the sponsor for making it a bit easier for people who are well qualified. And
Yes.
I think that's the key here. We're talking about people who are more than qualified to perform this work. Thank you.
Other comments, questions? Question has been called on the bill. Without objection, we are voting on House Bill 88. All in favor of passing House Bill 88, say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Your bill goes to Finance Sub. Moving on, we're going to go out of session now and ask the people from the Department of Safety to come forward. I believe they are here. I see Ms. Stroker. I see the director. And we're going to go out of session, and we're out of session, going out of session, and hear from the Department of Safety. They're going to give us an update on the challenges that we have been facing with the CDL. So have your questions ready, and we'll let them begin with their presentation. Welcome.
Elizabeth Stroker, Legislative Director and Assistant General Counsel for the Department of Safety. I have Director Tim Gregory with me, who's over our CDL unit, and then Assistant Commissioner Michael Hogan, who's over Driver Services in general. And AC is going to give us a little briefing, and then we'll be open to any questions you all have.
Okay, thank you. You're recognized, sir.
Good morning, Assistant Commissioner Michael Hogan. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to thank you for allowing us to come here and give an overview of the CDL program, particularly some of the challenges we faced over the past, in the past couple of years, and what the Open Roads Bill allowed us to do. I'm going to first say that when the bill passed last year, it gave us a lot of resources. Many of those resources were in personnel as well as funding. What I'm going to talk about today will tell you where we are, where we're going, and where we expect to be in the next 12 months or sooner. So with the passing of the bill, the department received 10 administrative positions. Those positions went strictly to the administrative office. We had 2 of those positions that went to training positions. We had 2 positions that went to our, what we call CSTEMs. And CSTEMs is an information system in which we scheduled a road test. We had 2 dedicated to our medical certification program. And then we also had 2 that was dedicated to our SITLIS system, that is to transfer information between states. And then, of course, we had 2 ASA4s that were helping us in our back office. Those positions increased our staffing and administrative staff by 200%. Each position I mentioned double or triple that area. Give you an example. Many of you received calls, and I heard Representative Hazelwood state there that her constituents had called about the lack of support. Their medical certifications were not updated. They'd sent information, correspondence was not received. Those 10 positions, in addition to additional positions within the department, helped us address that. I can say today that we're up to date with our medical certifications within the guidelines of FMCSA. We do not have any outstanding correspondence. Calls are being returned as they should be, and mail are being responded to as well. Upon completion of our administrative staffing situation, we also started our testing. And this is a huge piece for us because over the last year and a half, we had not tested any of our third-party examiners, nor had we been able to recertify our third-party examiners. So in August, we worked with the Association of American Administrators to come in and conduct testing on behalf of the state. Through that program, it cost the state $28,000 just to bring them in, but we also had another $2,000 to rent trucks. We were able through that program to test for 2 weeks. Those were in-house state examiners, as well as we had some third-party examiners in that class. October, the same organization, American Association of Motor Vehicles, returned to the department, and they did train the trainer. Why is this important? As I just stated, the department spent almost $30,000 bringing someone else to train our staff and our third-party examiners. With the train the trainer, that allows the state to do the training. That saves the department about $30,000 in taxpayers as well. From October to November, we had additional training with the Department of Transportation to allow us to train 2 of our own CDL examiners so that they could attain their CDL. It's not a requirement for you to train to have a CDL license. Now that we have two and we'll be bringing two more on, that allows us to move trucks back and forth in order to conduct training. And one of the things you're going to hear me consistently say is that we had to rent a truck or borrow a truck. That was a barrier for the department. Renting a truck each month at a cost of $1,800. Borrowing a truck from a third party, that was a barrier for the department. We've addressed that here with information I'm going to share with you today. November, the Department of Human Resources approved our positions. We have 20 positions across the state that will allow us to have non-CDL examiners be certified and receive a 10% pay differential in their pay. What this allows us to do is add more CDL examiners to do testing. Right now, the state has 14 that are appropriated to the department, appropriated to the department. But of those 14, we generally have a 50% vacancy rate. So think about that, 50% vacancy rate. These individuals who are qualified to conduct CDL testing. This has been going on for probably about a year and a half, or maybe even longer in some areas. In November, we entered into a contract with TCAT, and that's Tennessee College of Applied Technology, to rent their trucks to borrow their trucks on a monthly basis starting in March, 2 weeks, that allow us to actually test without having to rent a truck. Again, that saves the state and the department $1,800. December the 5th through the 16th, we held our first third-party training school. We hadn't had one of those, and I think it was 15 or 18 months, and correct me if I'm wrong, Director. 15 or 18 months, we had not had a training school for our third party. During that class, we trained, I believe it was 2 companies that we added on. So that will add additional third parties to the program. Now, in January, we conducted 2 recertification classes for the CDL third-party examiners. Again, why is this important? They help the department because they can conduct tests as well as the department. We will be adding additional third-party partners in the near future, but right now we're just trying to stabilize the program and get our core, which is our CDL examiners, trained so that they can also conduct testing. So here's our training schedule for the next 8 months. March 6th through the 10th, we have a recertification for state CDL examiners. March 20th through the 31st, we have a new CDL examiner class that consists of 1 state examiner and 9 third-party examiners. April 24th through May 5th, we have a new CDL class with 8 state examiners and 2 third-party examiners. June 5th through the 16th, we have a new CDL class that will be open to third parties first priority, and second will be state examiners. June 26th through the 30th, recertification of third-party examiners. July 10th through the 14th, recertification for third-party examiners. July 24th through the 28th, recertification of third-party CDL examiners. And those 2 right there will be school bus for the school bus drivers. August 28th through September the 1st, recertification for third-party CDL examiners. September 11th through the 22nd, new CDL examiner class for third party. October the 23rd to the 27th, recertification of state CDL examiners. And October the 3rd through November 3rd, recertification for third-party CDL examiners. Now, I mentioned briefly a few minutes ago about our staffing situation at the department. We currently have 8 districts. Each district is assigned 2 CDL examiners. I'm going to give you the current staffing at these centers, the vacancy and the field positions. Knoxville, District 1. At our Strawberry Plains office, we have 2 vacant positions. Bonnie Oaks, we have 2 field positions, and that's in District 2, which is Hamilton County. District 3, Davidson County, we have 1 vacant position, and we have 1 that's in the process of being hired. District 4, Shelby County. There's no testing center there yet, but we will have one there within 18 to 24 months out in the Arlington area. We haven't had a CDL testing pad there since 2000, I want to say 7 or 8. District 5, which is Johnson City, 1 vacant position and 1 pending hire. District 6, which is Cookville, 1 vacant position. District 7, which is Columbia, 1 vacant position and 1 being filled, which will start on hopefully within the next 2 weeks. And of course, District 8, we had 2 filled positions. Right now, we're averaging 33 days to schedule a skills test. Some locations is higher than others. Those that have only 1 examiner, it's averaging 51 days or more. Those who have two is anywhere from 14 to 33 days. As I stated earlier, we added 3 organizations on this year, and this was in December through that testing. Now I want to talk a little bit about the entry-level driving training program. As you know, this went into effect February 7th, 2022. It's a new requirement by the feds that anyone applying for a CDL, particularly A and B, you must go through this training prior to even taking their learner's permit test. This is a 2-week course. Well, state of Tennessee has been recognized by FMCSA because we're one of the only states who has a curriculum. We've been effective in our curriculum, and Director Gregory can share with you some of the comments we received, but we've had other states contact the state of Tennessee to say, how do we set up our program? Here's some stats for you. Currently, there are 630 organizations in the program. There are originally 400, and this was as of February 7th. Since April 2022, our program has overseen over 200 educational and monitoring compliance site visits. That program was set up with 10 employees. Currently, we have 8 that are filled and 2 that are vacant. These 2 vacancies recently were vacated, and again, it was due to compensation. Now, a couple other talking points I want to go over, and then, Mr. Chairman, we're going to open it up for questions. In December, Department of Human Resources did a pay study. Our driver's license examiners and our CDL examiners, one of the lowest paid classifications in the state. On the non-commercial side, it was a significant bump to the point of $5 per hour. In the CDL program, we faced the same challenges. A CDL examiner was making $2,500 a month to perform a CDL skills test. $2,500 a month. They could go to the private sector and would have no problem getting a job. That was the biggest impact that we had. We could not retain. In fact, in 2022, of those 14 positions I mentioned, we lost 5 and we only gained 2. That's been a revolving door, coming in and coming out. With the new salary, the new entry for a CDL examiner now is $3,150, which brings that up to $37,000. That would at least make us competitive. We're also in the process, we're working with our PIO office to create videos and literature on the website, so the trucking companies and drivers will have a resource to go to find information. If you go to Texas, we're looking at their website. They have a pretty good website of how they give information to the public regarding testing, about the different programs and the requirements, and then what's expected when it comes to conduct a CDL test. That concludes our presentation, Mr. Chairman, and at this time, I'll open it up for any questions for the group.
Thank you, Commissioner Hogan. That's a very comprehensive information there. I'm sure we do have some questions. First, let me ask Director Hogan, did you have a comment that you wanted to give to the committee, Director? Or you just want to do a Q&A, which?
Appreciate it, Mr. Chairman. No, sir, he did a great job covering.
Okay, very good. All right, let's go to Q&A. I have Chairman Carr is first on the list.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank y'all for being here today. Around my district, you can see school buses sitting around, and it says drivers needed, drivers needed. And of course, my people would have to go to the Strawberry Plains exit down there. And I noticed that you said you had 2 examiners down there, I believe. Is that right? That does that?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Okay, and you said the average time was 33 days, and then you come back and said 14 to 33 days.
That's correct, sir.
Okay, well, not most of the time it's coming in at the 33 days, I want to tell you, okay? And it's getting harder. Maybe we can address this, but it's just getting harder because I had the county road superintendent call me too, and he's got people waiting. And I'm so grateful that we got 2 in that area, because if you only had 1, 51 days, that's 3 months before a body can even get on the schedule to apply for a job. And then by the time they get their license, I'm not complaining to you. I'm just asking, what do we need to do to make this better? Because we, just as Chairman Hazelwood said, it's a hard thing in our county to get somebody certified to drive for CDLs. And when you're needing school bus drivers and it takes 33 days, I know that's a lot less than the half time of 51 days, but it still makes quite a problem. So tell us what we need to do or how we can speed this process up, because it is imperative that we get these drivers in our counties. And you know, I still think 2 weeks is too long. I think maybe if we had something they could do within 7 days, if they got all their medical and everything in order, that they should be able to go and get tested and then receive that license so we can put them to work. Tell us what we need to do.
Yes, sir. And thank you for those comments, Representative Carr. Let me state this. Within the open bill, there was open roads bill, excuse me. There was provision to allow us to establish a CDL incentive program. As you stated in your district, and there in Knoxville, we have 2 positions assigned there. Whenever you have one that's out, that's when you see the wait time goes up. What we did is with that CDL program, excuse me, with the incentive program, is that we're allowing DL examiners who are non-CDL to retain their certification to conduct the CDL skills test. We have 16 across the state, which is now going to double the number of CDL examiners in locations such as yours. So what will this do? 1, whenever someone's out, we don't have to stop. We can still schedule tests and conduct skills testing. 2, if we need to open up on a Saturday, and let me say this, we've explored this in the past and we've had mixed results, but we're willing to look at that. So if you take the 2 that we have, plus the 2 that we have that agreed to be a part of the CDL incentive program, that's 4 examiners. So that should reduce the wait time. Currently in your district, remember, we have 2 vacancies. So we're pulling people from other areas, but that's a domino effect. If I take someone out of Nashville,
No, go ahead. I'm
Yeah.
just,
yeah, if you take someone out of Nashville, then of course that has an impact on the Middle Tennessee area, or if you take someone from Johnson City. So with this incentive program now, we've just increased our staff. We couldn't get CDL examiners, the positions filled, so we gave a little bit more money to those non-CDLs just to maintain their certification. And what they have to do is do a minimum of 12 exams a year. That's a minimum, that's a requirement to keep their certification. And they receive a 10% pay differential in their paycheck just for conducting these CDL exams.
Chairman. Thank you. Yeah, well, that sort of seemed like a negative, and I'm talking about transportation. Y'all do a great job, but I mean, okay, you've not filled those 2 positions at Strawberry Plains. Is that correct?
They're in the process of being filled now, sir.
So you do think you'll be able to fill those?
Yes, in fact, they're in the hiring process right now.
Okay, well, that's good, because I understand you 2 that's come on board to be backup to them for that they have to do 12 a year. That's great. But if you hire those 2, because if that's what we need to do, because I think all the 4 regions of TDOT, and and that needs those CDL drivers, if we don't have enough people to get them trained, it's just going to get sort of like our transportation. We're going to fall further and further behind. Because I mean, that is a concern that I get a call lots of them. So I appreciate you putting those 2 down in Knoxville now, and that means we'll have 2 regular and 2 backup there. So there should not be a slack there. And I hate that we have to pull from another like Nashville somewhere so I think maybe we ought to be able to fill those across the board in some way if we can help you out on that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Representative Butler, you're next.
I've got a question for you related to our long-term growth. I appreciate what the department's done. We've had some constituents trying to get into testing, which your department has been instrumental in helping expedite that process. But my question was with the anticipated growth that Speaker Marsh mentioned, with the number of CDL drivers required, what do we need to do to help equip your department to be able to get more people tested, more people qualified, and more people certified as CDL drivers long term? I mean, from not just from today, but 2 or 3 years from now. What are we going to need to equip your department with to do that?
So currently the state has 8 locations across the state to conduct the CDL skills testing. Each test is about 2 hours, average 2 hours. So you're looking at 6 a day. If you're fully staffed, and when we have been fully staffed, we've been able to meet the demand. But I will sit here and tell you that the state alone cannot do this. We're going to have to reach out to some of our partners, our third-party partners, and ask them to do more outside testing beyond what they're doing in-house. Back in 2000, and don't quote me on this actual date, but I think it was in 2016, we had 119 third-party CDL examiners. We're down now to 75. At the time, we currently have 58 third-party schools. At that time, we had over 80 third-party schools. We realized that they are essential for us expanding this program and meeting the needs that Representative Marsh just mentioned. So what we're going to do is we're going to work with them. We'll bring more on. However, I want to say this. We've got to have the oversight on the non-commercial side, and this is what I'm talking about, the DL, where I spent most of my time. We did this through the third parties using our county clerks. At one time, we probably had 20 county clerks. Over the last 10 years, we've expanded that to 50 locations across the state. That's had a huge impact on how we service the public because now they have options to go to a state facility or to a county clerk. So we understand the value of the third parties, and we'll be working with them to open that up.
Follow up?
Thank you, Chairman. As a CDL holder myself, is there a way that we can make the medical process a little bit faster, a little bit easier?
So the FMCSA actually passed a rule, and it's been kicked down the road several times. But what the new process is that there will be a certain amount of actual physicians who can actually administer the CDL test. Once that program is set up, once a driver goes to their medical provider, the one that's approved by FMCSA, that information is electronic sent to the department. That's uploaded to the driver's record. That really removes the department out of the process. And so that's going to eliminate that part where there's a time for us processing just by them doing it electronically. Since then, what we've done in the last 2 years, we've implemented a process we call upload documents, and that's across the board for CDL, non-CDL, and our financial responsibility. And that allows the driver, no matter where they are, as long as they have a smartphone or access to a computer, they can upload their information. And then, of course, we will update the record. As I stated earlier, those administrative positions, the 10 that I mentioned, in addition to additional staff that we've thrown at this process, that should not be a problem going forward. And I say should not. Obviously, things could happen, such as, someone is getting ill, they're out of the office. But for the most part, we're building a foundation so that we can even sustain that.
You're recognized.
Thank you. Now, the medical professional that's doing the CDL exam uploads and sends those documents. It's not required for the driver to submit those same documents anymore, is it?
Currently, yes, the driver has to. The doctor can send them in on behalf of them, but once the feds implement, and I actually can't think, and maybe Director Gregory, do you know have you received an update on?
I haven't seen the information.
Okay. Well, all of that will be done electronically, and now it's still a manual process. So once that happens, and Chairman, I'll get it to the committee as soon as we get the actual date on that. Once that information is uploaded electronically, that's going to eliminate the manual process, or reduce it to only exceptions. Let me say that. Reduce it where we only have to process exceptions.
Next on the list, Representative Towns.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Thank you, Commissioners, for the presentation, as well as the enhanced work that y'all have done. What I'm hearing from my colleagues here, Representative Carr and some of the others, is that we may need to do even more in terms of personnel. The getting right now seems as if there's a receptivity to want to enhance what it is. So your ask may not be cut those speeds down 7 days, cut it down. I don't think the ask is big enough. Now in Shelby County, 17 years, 15 years, we hadn't had a CDL testing center. All right, that burns us down. That Ms. Cooper was really, really on target with that. She may have talked to you all about that.
Yes.
Because we talked and dealt with that for a long time. And that's one of your largest counties down there. So we need those times. I think Chairman Marsh is pointing out, obviously you all know all this, that these jobs are critical. COVID pointed out these jobs are critical. So you need to ask us for what it is to give us optimal performances. You don't have to do it today, but I think you need to revisit those numbers and see if there's a complement of people and personnel that we need to do to be self-sufficient and also competitive so that we can do the work we need to do. So I'm going to ask that you all go back and look at those numbers and see what it is that we need to do to make us kick butt in Tennessee in terms of getting what it is you need, because I think the getting is good right now. I just want to make that comment, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative.
Thank you.
Speaker Marsh, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you all for coming today. And most of you all don't realize what a huge problem we've had and how much they have worked to try to correct it. And right after the pandemic, right during the pandemic, we had all kinds of supply chain problems. And what did the federal government do? Came up and required 2 more weeks of training to be a driver, which is absolutely crazy. When we needed it the most, they put this a brand new training program that we didn't have before. Last year, we had legislation that changed a lot of the rules and gave them some money for their new positions, which are basically, the way I understand it, to follow up behind our trainers, to make sure our third-party trainers are doing it correctly, to audit them. And I think that's helped. And we did okay for 18-year-olds to drive intra-state in the bill last year. So we're able now to recruit potential drivers in high schools that maybe can come in and work local or work out of warehouses and drive. And when they get 21, they can go over the road. So I think all of that's going to help. But the biggest thing that I think we did was to give more money to let us hire third-party testers. And a third-party tester is like Sean back there. He can test drivers for us, the state, so it doesn't have to go through Columbia and Strawberry Plains and all these other places. And so I think the key to all of this is recruiting more third-party testers and teach them how to test, and let's have multiple testers all over the place. Because now when we hire a driver or want a driver, they don't have 33 days to wait around to get a test. They've got to have a check next week. So we're losing them all to construction or somebody else. This has got to be priority to get them through the testing program. And what happens when we don't have drivers? And at my company, we're probably got over 100 trucks empty with no drivers. What that does is our rates go sky high because everybody's demanding trucks. We don't have them. We got a shortage of trucks because we've got a shortage of drivers. So the freight rates have probably doubled in the last 2 years because we don't have enough drivers. And who's paying that? The citizens of Tennessee and the United States. So this is really critical. Appreciate you all work harder if you can.
Thank you, Speaker Marsh. Representative Towns, circling back to you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I appreciate it. And therein lies the point. I think that, Mr. Chairman, you explained it well. It boils down to money and resources, money and people. And we know that cart in our wheel has to be oil and grease. 33 days seems to be optimal if everything is kicking right. Everything's clicking right. It's not going to be that way. Life just doesn't work that way. You know, people are going to get sick, or your children are going to get sick. You got to go to school. You got a doctor's appointment. You got all this stuff going on. They're not going to call in. I mean, they're not going to come in. So we have to have that built-in flexibility so that we can still maintain not having 100 trucks separate idle. So that's what I'm emphasizing. We need to ask for a bigger ask, everything we need so we can address it.
Assistant Commissioner Michael Hogan. Representative Towns, I just want to make sure you understand about the Shelby County testing pad. We've tried for the last 10 years to get a pad there since we vacated the one we had on East Shelby Drive. And through no fault of anyone's up here or even with the state, it was just a difficult process. We finally found one out in Arlington, Tennessee, 18 to 24 months. I hope it will be sooner, but there'll be a testing pad there. So I want to clarify that. Second, when I use the 33, that's the average. I can give you some specifics, and this is as of this morning. So Chattanooga, right now, a person go to Chattanooga and schedule a test. It's 13 days.
Okay.
You can go to Columbia. The average time is 28 days to schedule an appointment. Cookville is 41 days. Again, one position there. Jackson, 14 days. They have two positions. And then Johnson City is 55 and Nashville is 51. And that's because we only have one CDL tester. As I stated earlier, those positions are filled, and with our incentive program, we shouldn't have this problem going forward.
Right.
I can't guarantee 7 days, Representative Carr, but I can at least keep it within that 10 to maybe 12 days.
Well, we're working towards that goal. I think his suggestion is 7 days. We're working towards it, and we just have to figure out what we can do to get as close as we possibly can to it. Because, as the chairman just said, if I'm looking for a job, if I have to wait 33 days or more, and if I can get a paycheck started in 7 days, chances are I'm gonna try to go there, especially if the salary, like you said, is competitive.
Right.
If the money's competitive, I got no choice.
Yeah.
I just got a responsibility. I have no choice, but I may love truck driving.
Correct.
I may love it, and a lot of people do. So we're getting there. We're just, pointing these things out. We're going to get there. And with Memphis, thanks, we can't wait. We need it. So I appreciate it.
Chairman Carr, you're next.
Thank you. Did you mention Strawberry Plains, what the day limit is on that one? Did you have it?
Yes, sir. And that's the one we have the two vacant positions. So we'll be in the 51-day waiting period because, again, we're transferring people in to conduct the test there.
So, okay, so you saying it's 51 days? Okay, 51 days. Well, talking to my colleagues here, I mean, maybe we need more than two positions per region. And then as Speaker Marsh said down there, and I would love to have some third-party vendors out there to do that too. I mean, put two third-party vendors, two on staff or whatever it takes. Because I can tell you if it were, and that must be true. I mean, I know it is true because 51 days, everybody's calling me, said we can't even get our CDLs in Sevier County or in places up through that first region up through there. So it's that is a problem. We just need to hit that head on. Because 51 days, I guarantee you somebody's going to go somewhere and find some place to work. And it's probably not going to be a driver like they wanted to be with. Right. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Chair Lady Hazelwood, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And just to follow up on a couple of things that have been said here, can you speak a little bit more to the third-party testers, that process, how we're going about, if there is an ability or an opportunity to add additional testers, what that entails?
I'm gonna let Dr. Gregory explain that process for you.
Our third-party testing program, the organization makes application, then their selected individuals that they want to perform the testing have to go through our certification class, which is approximately 2 weeks. Then once they graduate, there's a monitoring or a mentoring program available to them if they so desire. The entire process would probably take about a month to get those people trained and on board, and then some mentorship for them. It's really challenging to turn a new examiner out with no experience. It's really not safe, and that's why we do the mentoring program.
You're recognized.
And what sort of recruitment efforts do we have underway to get those third-party testers?
Madam Chairman, we have a recruitment process on our website. We use social media. We use Facebook, Twitter, all those, trying to get the word out there that we are interested in the process for the applications, et cetera.
You're recognized.
And final question, have we looked at any public-private partnerships with trucking companies, with the end users of our product, to see if we can involve them in getting these licenses even more quickly?
We have entertained the public-private partnership that is part of our program with TCAT. Although they are state agencies, they are separate and apart from the Department of Safety. We also work with any third-party school that expresses interest to have their examiners in our classes and try to address it in those fashions.
And I'll add to what Director Gregory said, and I think Chairman Marsh may have one of his own, but there are a lot of trucking companies that have their own third-party tester where they'll test their own. So we do offer them to come into the class as well.
Very good. Representative Beck, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This scenario where Davidson County's 55 days to get a test, are these people told that they can go to some of these testing facilities that have 14 days in order to help balance things out across the state?
Yes, sir. In fact, they're given options. If their first option would be here in Davidson County, then we'll find another location for them. We'll let them know, of course, they would have to drive. But yes, sir, we do give them options.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. My list is exhausted. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I just personal privilege. I want to thank the department for how hard you've worked with Speaker Marsh and myself over the last 18 months. We've had meetings during the summer, and I can verify that you have come a long way. You've really put your heart and soul into this. I'm particularly pleased that Chattanooga has come down on their waiting list. I think you said 14 days, something like that. There was a time, and I was getting calls on a weekly basis, 90 plus days. And I realized we came through a perfect storm with the new regulations from the feds. And then we had COVID, and some of the trainers got sick, of course, a human element involved. But we've navigated those waters, and we're coming out the other side. And I personally, I'm pleased with the progress that we see. We've got a ways to go yet, as you are aware. but I think we're making progress, and I think we're going to get there. And I just appreciate you coming with this good report today. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, thank you for coming. We really appreciate the work that you do for the people of Tennessee.
Thank you,
and
Mr. Chairman.
I'm sure we'll talk soon.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, committee.
Committee, that completes our calendar. Do I hear a motion? We are adjourned.